Well, howdy ho, boys and girls. It's your old pal Van here, and I'm petrified. No, wait, that's wrong. I'm sorry. I'm in the Petrified Forest in Arizona. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get into today, shall we? All right, folks, we're going to start our day out taking a little hike from Tawa Point along the Painted Desert Rim Trail. The Painted Desert is amazing. It spans about 220 miles by almost 70 miles. And I cannot fathom how much paint our ancient ancestors had to use to cover all this area. And it must have been a pretty good brand, because my God, it's hardly faded at all. Rim trail runs about a half mile one way, a mile both ways there and back. It's not a loop trail. And what we're looking at right here is an ancient volcano. In the darker rocks that you see that sits upon the softer red rocks and kind of protects the color is called basalt. And that's a deposit that was left over from the volcano. Trail's an improved trail. It's an easy walk. There's hardly any gain or loss of elevation along it. And it starts from a little parking lot just up at Tawa Point and runs down to the Painted Desert Lodge, which you can see over there in the distance. It's pretty easy. Anybody could do it, I would suppose. So I'm here at the lodge. And the lodge was originally built in 1920 by Herbert Lohr, who built it actually out of old petrified wood. In 1936, the National Park Service purchased it from him and redid it to its current condition. Here you can see an example around the doorway of how it originally was built, with sandstone and petrified wood kind of combined. And then you sort of see how it was covered over with the adobe afterwards. This is what the structure looks like from the parking lot. You can see there's a lot of folks here that just kind of pull in the parking lot and jump out and take a look at the house and move on. The hike itself is pretty easy. And the only thing you really have to look out for, and I just saw a sign, which I had no idea, is there are rattlesnakes along the trail. Also, unlike dumbass me, you probably want to bring some water with you. I thought, I'll just leave it behind. No. It's currently first week of July, in the middle of a heat wave. So this is all exposed, and I'm getting a little thirsty. So remember to bring your water. Don't be an idiot like me. But my God, just take a look at that view. Amazing. So the famed Route 66 actually used to run right through the heart of the national park. And if you look behind me, this is an old remnant of back in the day of Route 66. It is an old 1932 Studebaker that they kind of discovered in the middle of the park when they were developing this area. And here it sits today. So this is Puerto Pueblo. Puerto Pueblo was at one point in time kind of a hub, sort of a trading post throughout history, I guess, of man. It goes back thousands of years. And there's just layers and layers of different societies that had passed through this part and sort of used this. If you look down here, this is actually a symbol for migration, to let people know that somebody has moved through here or moved away from here at one point in time or another. But there's all these different layers of petroglyphs. You can see maybe a little further back. These two panels were done in completely different time frames. And then over here, there's another one that's a little bit more ancient than the first one. Yeah, neat. There's a little trail you can follow here. It's well developed. It's basically like a concrete path, but there's a lot to see here. If you look down there in this little crevice way down in there, that petroglyph is actually a summer solstice marker. As the sun comes up during the morning, you can kind of mark what time of year it is. Here, you're going to find some prime examples of petroglyphs. Check those out. We'll pull back a little bit so you can get the whole spectrum of view. I doubt there's anything here that really gives you an idea of when the summer solstice is coming. Probably not. Nah, nothing here. Though, I am curious what's going to happen in 1,000 years when this monstrosity gets excavated, and what scientists think about all that's going on back here. In ancient days, I wonder what this possibly could have meant. This ancient crouching dog throughout history was a sign for time for a Scooby snack. It's kind of interesting. Like, you can kind of see, it's sort of interesting how you can kind of read what was going on here just by looking at the side of these rocks. The like blocky brownish color like up near the top, that's like a layer of sandstone, and it was deposited when this used to have a river channel running through it. And then just below that, you look at that blue and red mudstone layers. That's like a layer where this was a floodplain, and then all that white in the grayish areas, those areas are from volcanic activity. Am I feeling blue? This, folks, is the Blue Mesa. Now, one of the biggest reasons I came out here, or one of the things I was looking most forward to being out here, was to walk down here. There's a trail, it starts up there, and it runs about a mile, so it's not an insane walk, but it is quite a little up and down, and when you get down into the mesa, it is a pretty good hike back up. The trek down, of course, down is always easy, but it's not that easy. And what you got to remember is eventually you're going to have to walk back up this trail. So it's not for everybody. Start getting down here. This is what you're looking at. Simply amazing. Honestly, folks, I do not even understand how a jackass like me should be standing here at this exact moment looking at all this. And as I've said before, as I try to say over and over again, if I can do it, so can you. I'll tell you a quick story about why I'm so thrilled to be out here. My father was a huge Humphrey Bogart fan, and some of you may already know where I'm going with this, but anything that he watched on TV, being that back in the day we only had 3 channels of television, everyone else in the family became a big fan of. When I was maybe, I want to say 12 or 13 years old, I came across the movie The Petrified Forest. And I don't know, of all the great bogey movies, Casablanca, Maltese Falcon, Petrified Forest was the one that stuck with me. Now, The Petrified Forest was with Bette Davis, Leslie Howard, and it took place in this area at a roadside station where they had a diner and sold equipment and food and stuff in It was off of Route 66, which, as we've talked about, actually used to run through this area. And that movie just seemed like the best for me. I don't know what my attraction to it was, but as a movie fan, even to this day, that movie is still my favorite movie. So fast forward maybe 15 years after that, believe it or not, I used to be quite the performer. Now, I know I seem very polished and wonderful and witty, and I can only imagine how much you appreciate all of this banter that I put forth. But back then, I was just kind of wandering around looking for acting jobs and was pretty much willing to go anywhere. So I came across a notice for an audition in San Antonio, Texas for the play, The Petrified Forest, which I did not even know exist. And in fact, the play predated the screenplay. So I was super excited, went all the way out to San Antonio, Texas. I wish I could remember the name of the theater company, but I cannot. I auditioned and was cast and got to sort of perform this for 6 weeks. But leading up to that, being the excellent actor that I was, I did a lot of research this is like back in the day when doing research wasn't like, you just sort of go on Google and spend a few times, watch some YouTube videos or something like that. Like you had to go pull books and take a look at it. And I remember pulling one book in particular, and the book itself was written and provided by the National Park Service. And I just remember seeing all the pictures and was just in awe of what I was looking at. And here, this place especially caught my eye. And ever since then, I've wanted to come out here. So obviously, I came up with the opportunity. COVID had a lot to do with it. And I got to live out an actual dream of mine to experience this place. I want to do one more pan and take a look because I've walked down the road a piece, but it is just exceptional. Nobody will ever imagine what it's like to actually be here unless you come out, despite the fact you're looking at this video. No matter how many photographs that you look at online, to stand here and see all this is just awe-inspiring. Oh, wait, no, wait, what? Wait, that's all right. Well, now I gotta ask you your name because you're on film. Jojo. It's okay if you're on film, right? Yeah. Okay. See, even Jojo can't ruin a shot. It is that spectacular. Come out here. All good things must come to an end. And yeah, kind of faced with this for the last 600 yards or something. But it's worth it, I hope, if I survive it. And maybe this is a good place to remind you. Like before you come out, start taking some walks, do a little exercise, get in shape. The better shape you are, the more you can see. One last time, really, I mean really, just beautiful, folks, is the Crystal Forest. And about 218 million years ago, this was actually a forest. And it is quite a trip to think that these were actual giant trees that are now pieces of stone. This is like a really good example of the petrified wood that has been crystallized inside for good reason. You're not allowed to take anything you find on the ground. You're not allowed to pick things up. You're not allowed to walk off the path. None of the above. I noticed when I was coming into the park, people that were coming out of the park, they will actually search your vehicle to make sure you haven't snagged anything, which is a good thing, because you think all the millions of visitors that have come through here, if they were all grabbing shit, there'd be nothing left for, well, your old buddy Van to be looking at right now. Imagine how massive this tree must have been. Like, this is from like back in the days of the dinosaurs when this thing was standing. I mean, it is really cool. And you can see all the different layers of growth all the way around it. It really, unless you like reach out, I don't even know if you're supposed to touch stuff. I'll touch it. Like, if you reach out and touch it, it's hard to believe that it's actual stone. It does look like it's wood. This whole area used to be part of the mass continent that was called Pangea before the plates broke apart and everything sort of moved. This area was actually located down near the equator. So, thus, why you can imagine all the tropical greatness that was going on here. All of these trees were fallen during the Triassic period. So that's so long ago that by the time like the T-Rex and Triceratops were sort of roaming the earth, these were already crystallized. Everything here was already crystallized by that time. I'm beaten. So that's about it for your old buddy Van here in the Petrified Forest. Well, I got my petrified on. You got to get here early, especially if you're only going to spend a day, because there is a lot to see. But you got to do it. If you're thinking about it, do it. If I can do it in that, you can do it in just about anything. So once again, auf Wiedersehen, aviento. Voodoo Ranger, send me free beer. And laters!
Oh, the poultry peck, there's nothing left but bones and feathers and a bloody mess. So the moral is, careful what you do, 'cause the status quo